Mr. DJ.
Hey, check this out. We got a great show coming your way.
From the ECSI Sports Studios, it's the Midday Market Report with Jeff Dawson.
Good afternoon, sports fans from all around the world. I am the host. We are back for the Closing Bell Tuesday, March 14, 2023. Special guest, friend, colleague. We spoke last heading up to the Super Bowl. He was at Foxwoods on his way to Encore and making the Eastern Coast trip, and now he's in Vegas. He's in, honestly, my favorite place. Right now outside of South Point. I stay right across the street at Grandview, have some timeshare there. There is, if you've never been to Vegas or you've been to Vegas and haven't been to South Point, Billy's going to come on and just tell you what a real sports book's all about, and the people behind the desk, the Chris Andrews, the Jimmy Vaccaros. It's just an amazing place. Let him do its justice. Without further ado, the legend himself, Mr. Bill Krackomberger.
Hey, no, it's an old school gambling joint. I like to say, you know, it's a place you can go into and literally, you could sit down. You don't have to pay like these other corporations. You go around town. All they do is charge you to sit everywhere. So that's not what this is about. This place is they take a bet on March Madness. They opened numbers literally. They opened so many numbers before anyone else. And they were taking big bets. I'll just tell you, on the app they were taking 3,000. In person they're taking 5,000. This is when no one else had a lineup on certain games. DraftKings came up first on about a dozen or so games, but South Point came up a real quick second. I got to give them credit.
There's so many opportunities. I mean, we even got NIT action tonight. We have the play-in game tonight. We have the play-in game tomorrow, and then officially March Madness tips off on Thursday. Bill, tell everyone how you formulated Sunday, Selection Sunday, how you do the process, how it starts, and where you are sitting right now.
Sunday, I actually was in front of my screen, as you'll see. There's my screen there. I was in front of my screen, and I don't leave home without it. And that's a live odds screen. You got to have that. So I was in front of my screen and seeing back east. I was wondering what was going to happen. Last year, DraftKings put these numbers up first about 2 minutes before other spots, and they had some opinionated lines. It's real hard to get the opener correct. So I had 5 or 6 plays I made on, maybe 7 on Sunday. I thought I was even going to make more, but a lot of them actually came up, and they're still exactly the same. I mean, I can go over so many games that I'm like West Virginia, Maryland opened up 2. It's still 2. So there's at least almost half the card that really didn't move a lot, but a lot did. A lot of games came up. Like Tennessee, you know, Circa had a 9, South Point had 13. I mean, just think about the middle opportunities. I'm not really a middle guy, but I will middle March Madness if I could. You know, early opening day, I laid some games. I was at South Point, and I bet some games, you know, for good sized bets that I took 2.5 and took them. You know, so I actually took one game up to +3 and laid $1.25 the other way. I mean, it's worth it. It's a no brainer. So and for sick amounts of money, 5,000 each way on that one. So I'll do that this time of the year, but it's not, you know, that's not feasible for everyone. You can't tie up, you know, 50, 100 grand. And I'm lucky I had that in my app here to actually bet some of the games. I was happy. But anyway, my process really is taking sides, though, that I think may be wrong. Now, I'm not an originator, so I deal with some very, very sharp guys that are originators, though. And you know, they come up with some sides here that I haven't even really given out yet. I'm gonna have some pretty juicy sides here that I bet a lot of money on, and the lines didn't even move. I mean, I just bet 5,000 at Caesars on a first half line, and they didn't even move the line. So because they expect favorite money. So they're expecting people to come in. I mean, who's coming to town betting like Princeton first half? I mean, nobody. But I just gave you one of my plays there. So Princeton first half, I took +8.5 for a little bit, +8 -0.5 for a little bit. But people aren't coming to town to bet Princeton. They're coming to town to bet Arizona. That's who they're betting. So I kind of look outside the box a little bit. I want to be on the bookmaker side on a lot of games, and the public is very fickle this time of year. They love spending money. They love overbetting. I try to preach not to overbet, because just because the games are on TV and you lose the first game or two does not mean you have to force a night game where you have no real play, but you have a penchant for just getting even. And just, we're taught from a very young age, Jeff, when we're playing checkers with our dad, Monopoly with our family, then maybe some, games with your friends, some board games, and just life, one-on-one basketball, pickup, whatever. We're taught to be winners, and we get upset when we lose. Well, when you put gambling involved and being upset, it's the reason why all these factories are made. It's the reason why all these factories are here. They're here because people chase and say, oh, God, let me just get even for the day, and I'll go home, whether it be blackjack, video poker, or sports.
And you can't preach it any better than that. I preach about the chase. I preach about, I call it Quicksand Sunday, when the general public wakes up Saturday after the 12, 13-hour matinee and evening card all the way to the Hawaii game. And if they're up, it's a free swing to them. I'm going to knock this out of the park. I'm going to double, triple what I'm up, and they end up losing for the week. Or if they're down, as you just said, just let me get even, Lord. Just let me get even. I promise I won't do it again.
Crazy.
And they double what they lost, and then on Monday they're back at it again.
Yeah, no, it's just the human condition, Jeff. It's exactly what people do since we're kids. So I understand it. I don't get upset at nobody. I just try to help a little bit, try to give little nuggets of wisdom to my people on Twitter, my people in general that I do on podcasts like yourself. I just try to, just learn from my 30 years of professional sports betting, because for the first 10, I was a stone cold sucker. I mean, literally going to racetracks, giving 25% away, going to, card games and not knowing strategy and not knowing outs and pot odds and applied odds. I was a sucker. So if you're new to gambling, you're brand new, all these jurisdictions are promoting this new gambling. Every channel you turn on, all you see is commercials for all these sites. How easy it is to make money, and the celebrities are gambling. They're happy. They're putting their videos on Twitter and putting their videos on Instagram and trying to make it so fashionable. I'll let you know about the bad things. I'll let you know about the perils of gambling. I'll let you know about chasing at night when you're sitting home with the online casinos when no one else is watching you. You're basically in the closet form of gambling. It's the crack cocaine of gambling, these online casinos. Going to be the downfall of many a person. Even the sharp people, trust me, even sharp people fall for those things. And that's what they want you in there for, by the way. They don't want you in there to gamble at 4.5% on a game on a 4-hour decision. They want you in there to gamble on a 10% Keno or roulette or whatever it may be, 8% roulette with 000 or whatever it may be. That's what they want you for. That's what they want. That's what they actually try to acquire you as a customer for. It's to bet the online casino. It's not to bet in the sports for the most part.
It's Tuesday. It's 4:45 back east. It's early in the afternoon. The hot dog cart line must have been a mile long there at the racetrack.
I just had to. I just had to at the South Point. I can't believe you said that. Yeah, I just had a couple.
Nothing better than a couple hot dogs, and then
nothing better than a good dog, man.
They do amazing things there. Now, are you going to let's just say leave the South Point, head towards the Strip, or maybe Westgate Circuit? Or
I am. I'm going right now to bet. I have a list of things here to bet. There's a list, but I have bets to make at. Yeah, I have some bets to make at the Win, and I'm not on the app there. I mean, of course, if I'm on the app, I can bet on the app, but a lot of the sports books don't like you getting bet on the app because they're afraid to get double hit, and the limits are lower at a lot of places on the app. So I'd rather go to the counters and bet. Fortunately, places like Circa, like Westgate, I'm allowed to get as much on the app than I am in person. And when not, I'll text Jeff Benson. I made a bet the other day on something, and I text Jeff Benson down at the Circa. I wanted to bet up to 10,000 on something, and he said he went to his bosses and he got a very, very good limit approved for me, much more than was on the app. So they're pretty good. They're good to me on certain things for sure.
So now we leading up to Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, the first round there. Take the results from Wednesday, the playing games, and then you get into Thursday and Friday.
Yep.
Do you have any futures leading up to this, or are you just going in day by day, Bill?
Well, the futures are bad bets. They're 20, 25%. They're more than 20, 25, 30, 40% house take, especially this year. God, there's a dozen teams that can win the whole thing.
Yep.
Listen, is there any Cinderellas? I don't know. I'll tell you what, I seen DraftKings had 35 to 1 on Duke. I thought that was pretty good. You see, I could bet futures because I'm going to search, 50 different places that I have access to. Of course, I'm not on the East, so I can't bet DraftKings, but I have lots of access to a lot of different sites. And like here, I think it was 20 to 1 at Westgate, 25 to 1 at Circa, or maybe it was 30 to 1. I seen a 30 to 1 in town here. It wasn't Westgate, though. Westgate was, it wasn't Circa. Circa was 25 to 1. So then when I seen the win had 35, not win, the DraftKings 35 to 1. And they also have a bet, will the team reach the Final Four? And that may be a better bet. Duke is 18 to 1. Duke, they've been playing well as of late. They weren't that good of a team. They might not even have been in the big dance if you had talked about them 6 weeks ago. But they've come on late. They've played good. They have a tough draw this first round. Oral Roberts is a very tough team. It's not really fair to these mid-major teams, as my friend Alan Boston always says. That's a tough draw for both teams there. So if they get by that game, which they're supposed to, they're 6.5-point favorite, but I wouldn't be surprised for them to lose that game. I think Duke is probably a good future. I seen him to win. Was it 8 to 1? I seen some odds. Man, I tell you, they're the one thing that we're missing here in Vegas. Let me be blunt. We're missing the balls bookmakers, like the guys that put up so many crazy different bets, like DraftKings this time of the year, because they put up crazy bets that other places don't put up. So like here, the region winners. I'm looking at the team. By the way, this is without New Jersey colleges, so you can't bet on New Jersey in New Jersey. So the region winners, I'm looking here. They have Duke at 8 to 1 to win the East region. I'll tell you, here in town, I seen Circa had like minus 8 to 1. It's literally almost a scalp. It's probably some good value on Duke there. But I don't want to go overboard on Duke because they could lose that first game. I'm just making a point where I don't really have any futures. Let me see what I seen here. Let's see if it's still up here. Now Gonzaga. I see Gonzaga at 15 to 1. That seems a little off. Seems a little bit too high. Maybe. A lot of times I like the money line parlay teams. I haven't worked it out with Gonzaga, but I seen 15 to 1. And if you can get like 18 to 1, it might be worth a peanut play or something. Here's a couple little nuggets there of a couple futures that I really, like I said, sprinkle a little nuggets. Nothing like I'll bet a lot more on, I bet a lot more on a game in the NIT. I bet Youngstown. See if that's still available, +6. Yeah, Youngstown +6 at Caesars, at South Point right there. At Chris -6 -15. I'll bet a lot of more money on a game like that than I probably will bet on some of the March Madness games. But I did bet some first half stuff. I'm running around doing that. I mentioned something earlier to you about like Princeton. No one's coming to Las Vegas to bet a Princeton. No one's coming to Vegas to bet a Grand Canyon. But there's a sharp group against me there on Gonzaga, so that may be worth a little bit less. I took Drake +3 -20 at the South Point. You can get that Drake versus Miami, Florida. I think that's a good bet. +3 -20 on Drake. Two probably evenly matched teams. Could be a big injury for Miami too. If that happens, this game's going to be like pick'em. So anyway, yeah, I ramble, Jeff. You can stop me.
No, Jesus, you hell no. I could listen for hours and hours, and we can't thank you enough, obviously, for stopping in. Your busy time of year. Obviously, if I was to ask you the four number one seeds. You got Kansas, you got Purdue, you got Alabama, and Houston. I've had a hard time all year wrapping my head around the defending champs, Kansas, and obviously Purdue. I've been real pro Houston, who had their leading scorer get hurt, and UCLA lost their leading guard and defender there. If I was to ask you, Crack, will you please convince me Kansas and Purdue are for real?
I don't have either one. I don't have either one in my Final Four. I filled out a couple brackets. I usually don't do that, but I did it for a show. I had Bama, Houston, Duke, and Gonzaga. I put some long shots in there with a little bit longer with Duke and Gonzaga. But yeah, that's what I put. I think Bama and Houston though are the real deal. So those two teams are a real deal. But that was my bracket. I actually did. I threw out a lot of teams that people thought should be there. So it is what it is. It's no serious money on that. It's brackets. I mean, it's hard to win them. Gotta have fun with them.
And here's something scary. Earlier this morning, good friend and colleague Julian Edlow from DraftKings comes on every Tuesday on our show. And as you said, Mass launched 7 apps on Friday. It's crazy back home. Next time you come east, make sure you look me up, because we're going out for some steak, lobster, and steam.
Oh, we are. We are. Where are you at again? Tell me how far are you from Lake Encore?
I'm on the south on Cape Cod. I'm about 50 minutes away.
Okay, though we're definitely going out.
Julian said something scary to me. He got UConn minus 115 to win the first 2 games. They got Iona. They're 9-point favorites against Patino. Then they got the winner of VCU and St. Mary's. My stomach is in a pit because I think St. Mary's is going to find a way. Tell me I'm wrong, Crack.
I wouldn't bet that. I wouldn't be betting the bet he made. Nothing against him. I mean, let me just be blunt though. Are they 9? Are they 9.5 or 9? Let me just see what they are. Let's see what they opened at. Yeah, I wouldn't. Yeah, they actually opened at 8 at Circa and 11 at South Point. They're settled in around 9. Patino could. Patino may even, who knows? He can have a rabbit up his sleeve. You don't know. So, yeah. But it's the second game. It's the St. Mary's game, VCU St. Mary's, and I would favor St. Mary's. Now, I'm not betting St. Mary's, but I would favor St. Mary's. They're a 4-point favorite over VCU. VCU just played a hard-fought game the other day that they won, I think, on Sunday. So we'll see.
Last question. Actually, I'm just throwing you a soft lob, an alley-oop here, Crack. Tell the crew where they can find all your work, where you are, Vegas. Just tell them where Crack wins.
I appreciate it. Yeah, I started that site a couple of years ago. I was getting thrown out of so many sports books. I was thrown out of William Hill. I was thrown out of Treasure Island. I was thrown out of Coast. Thrown out. Now it's even worse. I mean, just get thrown out just for using your brain. So many sports books. I try not to throw them all under the bus, but sometimes it happens. I'm back in Caesars, back in William Hill. Joe Asher retired or went off in the sunset somewhere with his millions, and I am allowed back in there, so that's good. So I started the site, crackwins.com, Crackwins app, and people are really happy there. I've done really well since I've opened up that app. I ran so well so many years on different things there. Jesus. And I'll give them games before I even bet them myself. So it's been really good. Also, I'm on at Bill Krackomberger on Twitter. I try to put some nuggets of wisdom there and try to do some different things and not just talk about sports. And it's try to just show people what it is. And I try to teach. I like teaching. Because I know what it is to be a kid growing up, pitching quarters at a post office, pitching your baseball cards and gambling from a very young age. And basically out of control gambling, being a little DJ with my buddies until I was like 20 something, and then someone showed me the right way and showed me what it was and how a detailed bankroll management is. And it is, you're supposed to bet like 1-2% of your bankroll. I know it's not fun. There's going to be so many people, Jeff, that are going to have the entire bankroll in action this week. You would not believe it. So if they have $1,000, they're betting 100 on 10 games. They're betting 100 on 9 games. I mean, it's all going in. And even with the best information in the world, they will go broke. It's called Gambler's Ruin, RUIN. They will go broke eventually, even if they go 10-0. So I'll leave you with that.
Billy, we can't thank you enough. Best of luck this weekend. We'll circle the wagons. We'll catch you maybe before the Final Four or something.
Thank you, buddy.
Take care, Billy. The one and only Bill Krackomberger, just worth the price of admission. Good friend, colleague. Listen, the guy has been shut down basically a handful of casinos. He walks in and no, we're all set. You see it all the time on Twitter where, the average person can go and bet hundreds and thousands. They don't even take his $18 bets. They're saying, Bill, we've had enough, where some of these big time real casinos, real sports book want that knowledge because it's knowledge. They want to know where the shops are so then they can move their numbers. But a lot of these guys tap out and they say no mas. So give us 30 seconds. We're going to go from here to the closing bell. I'm going to bring Riley in and we'll be back in 2 seconds. All right, without further ado, let's bring him in, the one and only Mr. Southside Riley. What is happening, sir? Are you there?
Now I'm here. I don't know what's going on. I'm still hearing the intro music in my ears. This might be on my end, but all I hear is the intro music in my ears still. There we go. Okay, now it's all fixed. I am, I think I'm a little slow on this end over here, but I am doing well, my friend. I am rocking and rolling here, getting ready for the start of this weekend with March Madness. So I'm sure, happy to follow up your conversation with the Crackman there, but I'm sure we'll have a quick, brief discussion about another sport that's going on in my area of expertise. But the rest of the show, I am juiced to be talking March Madness. The conference tournament weekend was absolutely a blast. So my favorite time of the year, especially this weekend, the whole tournament, but especially this weekend, is my version of Christmas. So I am ready to rock and roll, my friend.
It's a privilege and an honor to have people like Bill on. We try to bring on experts, and he talked about the word education, and you and I have been carrying that on with Scott Webb and a lot of other people on our side, our neck of the woods in these lanes. And for someone like him, he came on for the Super Bowl, and he had fistful of tickets with 5 dimes, 10 dimes. Shooters shoot and he shoots, but he's as open and transparent as anyone. He slipped in a little Princeton first half there. He talked about Youngstown tonight. Now, again, there's no such thing as locks. We know that, but he's given us privied information where his tickets say 5 dimes, 10 dimes. You can go and put a quarter, a half, $1 on it. But again, this is a guy putting his money where his mouth is. But he's here also to educate, and that's the key.
Yeah, the education is the key, and I like how he closed it. I was listening in the last 10 minutes or so as far as, you could, go 10-0, but if you're still carrying the practice of how you guys are talking about, of betting your entire bankroll, then, at some point it's gonna bite you in the butt there. So, no, fantastic conversation as always. So it was a pleasure to listen to.
No, and he's right, because if someone walks in with $1,000 in their pocket, they got their chest out like this, and they're going to go firing $100 a game, and they're betting 10% per play. And as he says, as hard as it is, the general principle is 2 to 3%. Even though you had $1,000 in your pocket, you're supposed to be going to the window betting $25 and $30 a game. I look at you like, are you kidding me? I got no way in hell. And because you expect to go 10-0, or if not 10-0, 9-1, and at worst 8-2 or 7-3. You don't think about the 0-10, the 1-9, or the 2-8. and your 1,000 after juice is now down to $180.
Yeah, and it's a lesson that more people I think are catching on to, as far as having those type of days on a random Saturday, whether it's the middle of January or this weekend, as far as those days being really the killer, where you've got 10, 15 different things, and then you're having the worst day of your season, and then you're way behind the eight ball. So I think the general population is getting better with it, but obviously a lot of people still, including myself, still need a lesson, whether it be from someone like you or Crack or myself sometimes. So everyone can grow every day here with this.
All right, before we dig into the NIT, the play-in game, NHL, NBA, the stage is yours. Fill us in. What are you hearing?
I'm not hearing anything else that nobody, I'm not giving anybody new news, but Alan Lazard getting the official contract agreement there with the Jets certainly feels like the first domino. Sounds like Randall Cobb could be going along, tagging along again with Rodgers there, but it does sound like it's all but official here, coming down the way here. So I'm curious to see what the compensation is going to be for him. Whether I assume there's going to be some draft picks, but there also could be. I think the Packers have had interest in. It could involve a Corey Davis or an Elijah Moore. Corey Davis, I think, has 1 year on his contract. Elijah Moore, a couple of years. I don't know what the situation is, but if you're bringing Alan Lazard in, there's a little less room in that receiving room. Obviously, not going to part ways with Garrett Wilson. That's building around him to some degree in that receiving core, but. But I imagine the Packers are going to try, on top of obviously bringing back for year 2 Christian Watson and Romeo Doubs, probably going to try and bolster that receiving core a little bit, whether that's via the Jets and poaching a couple of or one or two of their guys in this deal. I don't know, but the Packers obviously are going to be looking to add something in the way of receiver, but hopefully something happens here soon. The man says he's not trying to string anybody along and keep anybody waiting, but as the days here this week go on, and it doesn't have an outward official answer on anything, it does feel like he's stringing both the Packers and Jets along a little bit right now. So I expect something. Honestly, it was with the next 48 hours, I think we're going to see something, if not the next few hours here today. So. Something's going to happen there, and then hopefully both teams can move on and make their next moves and bolster up the rest of their deals. I'm seeing right now, not to switch teams here, but Colts sending 5-time Pro Bowler Stephen Gilmore to the Cowboys. So Stephen Gilmore over to the Cowboys there from the Colts there. But as far as the Packers go, they don't have a ton of flexibility as far as free agency is concerned. They're going to convert. They already did some conversions and cap, jump rope, whatever you want to call it. So I think they're probably going to do a little bit more of that and then try and do something. But I would really expect at least one receiver in this Jets Rodgers deal, along with a draft pick or two coming down the way here, in my opinion.
It's funny. They talked about the hostage list and Alan Lazard, Randall Cobb, Mercedes Lewis. So again, he's trying to bring his people in there. Garrett Wilson, who had a phenomenal year, and listen, Alan Lazard will be his safety net, but I'm telling you, Garrett Wilson, I'm not calling him Devontae Adams, but he is everything that Christian Watson was starting to be, and then Romeo times 10. I mean, he had an amazing second half of the year. But I'm looking at this long term, and he's got a window that's shrinking. Obviously, you're catching him on the decline. You won one Super Bowl with him. We talked about the last handful of years, not counting this year. Let's take the 2 and 3 behind that, the number 1 seeds. You got to come through Lambeau. You never could win in Lambeau. And now teams were coming in and winning. You're coming into an AFC East with a Buffalo Bill team that should have egg on their face. Listen, what happened late in the year, no one could see happening. So I'm going to take a pass on what happened. And I'm going to say all that hype that was coming in last year, not a lot of people are going to be jumping back in. I think they got something to prove. You got Miami. They picked up Tua. If Tua is healthy, They bring in who'd they bring in yesterday?
Jalen Ramsey.
Jalen
Yep.
Ramsey. They have the offense. We know that. Now their defense got stronger. And everyone's shitting on the Pats. There's even rumblings here. I'm looking right now, 98.5 with Lamar Jackson on there as the headliner. They're still trying to say, listen, Mac's number one favorite binky left the building to go to Vegas, Jacoby Myers. And it wasn't a big deal. It wasn't a Christian Kirk deal. It was pennies on the dollar. So They're saying Bill doesn't want Mac. So they're holding out hope. But my point is here, this isn't a 1 year layup, get your feet wet. They're going to do everything that Aaron wants. We're not here to just make the playoffs. You're here to win the damn division and go far in the playoffs.
Right, and probably not for just 1 year too, as well, right? So, no, and it's not going to be easy, right? So, I think you probably have a lot of faith in that defense if you're the Jets to come back healthy with Quinnen Williams at the helm in the middle there, and obviously Sauce Gardner coming into year 2, and you're hoping that Rodgers' issues this year were maybe a lot of it had to do with his thumb or lack of chemistry with his guys, and obviously you're going to have to find some new chemistry here, but. With Garrett Wilson, a decent, depending on Breece Hall, obviously if Breece Hall is back, that's a huge piece there. So I think if you're the Jets, you're just feeling like that was the best way to improve your team because you don't believe in Zach Wilson, obviously, and you don't believe that you can find one of these other guys to a random veteran here to come in and get you to where you want to go and maybe have a nice shot. You're hoping that Aaron Rodgers is coming in and bounces back to close to MVP form, and you're going to have a shot. So I think you and I talked at the end of last week. I think it raises their floor quite a bit, the Jets here, with how bad their offense was at times last year, but what their ceiling is with the competition, not only in the AFC East, but obviously the entire AFC and the way it's stacked right now. You've got a couple teams that ended their season in rough fashion that are going to be hungry as well. So it's going to be a gauntlet in the AFC, and I'm interested to see how things shake out in the NFC with the NFC North. I know you and I believe in that Lions team, especially with whatever they can add out of the NFC North, but there's going to be a couple open spots as far as whether it's a 9-win team making the playoff or one of these other random teams making a big step to be that playoff contender. So interested to see how it goes for obviously the Packers. They're it's going to be a new look. You're going to get Jordan Love in Matt LaFleur with Jordan Love. So it's going to be an evaluation process all season long, not only for Jordan Love but for also Matt LaFleur now that he's beyond Aaron Rodgers there. So it's going to be an interesting season, and just about anything can happen with the Packers.
Yeah, I mean, just the NFC North would expect the Packers a little regression, a little learning curve with Jordan Love. You would also what's going on in Minnesota, maybe them for taking a step back. Maybe Chicago finally, they got a big draft ahead of them. They're putting the pieces together. Hell of a move, not only with the trade, but to get number one wide receiver with DJ Moore. Now they can piggyback off of that. They can go back in, and if they wanted to, they can go grab a wide receiver early to add to that. But we know he needs offensive line help there. And then everyone's going to be all in on the Lions. They made the move last year. They took the step. They were right there. I'm going to tell you, NFC North is going to be a fun division next year.
Yeah, and the Lions obviously have some great draft capital. So, and if some of their guys that were young these last couple of years take another step, they're gonna be pretty dangerous. So, for them, it's just a matter of if they can put it together from start to finish, as opposed to the last couple of years of coming on late in the season, obviously there. So, enough of that. It's been an interesting few weeks in Packerland, but like I said, this weekend is my version of Christmas. So let's get on with that, huh?
All right, the ball, get away.
All right. As far as tonight is concerned, let's see. I didn't look. I looked at these lines for NIT. I didn't look through the bracket and whatnot and what's going on there. But as far as tonight's game is concerned, SEMO, Southeast Missouri State, and Texas A&M Corpus Christi. I saw a lot of people interested in A&M CC, Texas A&M Corpus Christi here. I think the Islanders is what they're called. Any interest in the underdog Southeast Missouri State tonight?
I had an overnight number of 3 with a 153. The under is shot 59. They're expecting a shootout at the OK Corral. First one to 80 wins. I'm seeing threes, a 3.5 here and there. Slight small lean to the dog here, but I actually would follow the move, and I think that both teams probably get up into the 80s.
Yeah, no, I think I'm with you on that. But obviously it's a tough one to call when you got 2 16 seeds. Not a lot of people have seen these two teams, maybe other than last week, if at all. The other game tonight, though, obviously the 11-11 seed game there, Pitt and Mississippi State. Mississippi State now 2.5, I believe. Am I wrong, or did this one open close to a pick'em?
I saw pick'em everywhere. Our sheet had Mississippi State 1.5 with a Pittsburgh with an under over a 133. Currently at the circa 2.5 with a 133. They're basically telling you, first one to 65, 67 is going to win this. I've been asked a million questions on this game, and you know what? My real true thought here is whoever was getting points probably was the value side here. I was hoping Pittsburgh would be 1.5, 2-point favorites. I like both teams. I can't give points on either side. So again, here, slight lean to the dog.
Yeah, and you could look at it from a sense of Pittsburgh kind of stumbled towards the end there, so now maybe a little bit of time off. They're ready to jump back into it. But they had the losses they had. I mean, 2 of the last 3 losses they've had were Miami and Duke, so it's not like they're Boston College or whoever else in the ACC there. So, but then obviously I think the favoritism is or Mississippi State being favored is really just giving credit to the SEC over the ACC. That's the way I see it. So, but I put these teams really close to each other, and Mississippi State, I've liked them a lot, but I've liked them in a lot of either dog situations or, if they were playing a team that I just don't believe in. They've had a couple situations where they're just teams that I think are really overvalued that I was interested in. So I'm sitting on the wayside and grabbing my popcorn for this one for the most part tonight.
And you nailed it spot on. Shout out to TJ. Yes, to you. Listen, TJ, you're going to hear a lot about the Drake. And I know you said earlier, I'm just telling you, they are one of the biggest public trendy dogs right now is the Drake. And people are leaning towards there, too, for your injury with your center there. Even Billy Crack talked about it as well. So we'll keep an eye on the injury there. But, again, especially those 5-12s, everyone flocks to the 12s because at least 1 or 2 always seem to win. Again, I think there's more value when you go a little further down. Maybe in the the 13-4s or something. My math's bad. I'm drawing like, but the 5-12s. Go to social media, whatever the public trendy dogs are on the 5-12s. Just go the opposite. Grab the favorite. You're getting a value price on them, and you'll end up moving on there as well. But what I wanted to say before the sermon, apologies, is again. When these lines move like that, again, that is the public, the D-Gens, and that's them saying the SEC is better than the ACC. That's what that move is for.
Yeah, right. Yep. And as far as the 5-12s go, yeah, it's especially the last. I mean, before it was mainstream with gambling. The 5-12s was obviously that was the talking point. Those were the easy upsets to pick off, but. It's not as simple as it was 10 years ago with those 12 seeds. So is there going to be 1 or 2? Maybe. But it's not that simple from my perspective either. So I'm interested to see how it shakes out. But no, you're already seeing some 12 seeds as trendy dogs. I know VCU is kind of trendy as well over St. Mary's. And I heard you and Bill talking about your UConn. So from your perspective, you're probably hoping you get the 12-5 upset there, and you see assuming you can get through Iona, see VCU there. So which I I'm not a bracket expert by any means, but I took a swing with VCU over St. Mary's and your UConn team going to at least the Elite Eight. So you owe me a pat on the back as far as giving you some optimism there. But what the hell is that worth there? So no, I mean to get into some of these other ones. I mean, as far as I guess to stick with your UConn team. Were you satisfied to see that line? What's the number that would have scared you as far as that Iona game? Not trying to put the kiss of death, talking about confidence in him, but what's the number that would have scared you to see that game there?
Go back a year ago, New Mexico State. That line sat at 6.5, and there was not one person in Vegas on that Vegas Strip that brought up New Mexico State. And I talk about it all the time at the MGM with Sharapan, with Edlow, with Peralt. And it just hit me like a bag of bricks. I was like, UConn's not going to cover. They're going to lose this game outright. What do you mean? Well, it was box to wire, New Mexico State. The number, I've seen 9.5s, 10s, 11s. The name Rick Pitino alone and the fact that he's got that job offer if he wants at St. John, it's been a great run. And I think they'll put up a good first half battle. I just think defensively they're going to wear down. I'm not saying this to be a homer or an ass. I think that they will handle Iona comfortably. What scared the shit out of me is when Julian said he got UConn minus 115 to win in Albany, just 2 games. And I'm telling you, I was there 6-7 years ago when St. Mary's won 2 games in Providence. I was there with the Sandman. And I'm telling you, everyone's on VCU to beat St. Mary's because why? They remember what the Zags did to them and just destroyed. No one's talking about St. Mary's. No one. It's VCU. It's Iona. It's UConn. I'm just going to say this once, and I'm going to lose it. I just, deep down, and I hope I'm wrong, I see UConn, St. Mary's, tough 51-49, 51-50, St. Mary's. I hope I am so wrong.
Yeah.
And that's what I can see.
No, I can't disagree with you. And I'm with you, though, as far as the game against Iona. I especially with the Rick Pitino talk and everything along that, not only just to talk about his upcoming job, but him in general right there. I'm with you as far as feeling good about your boys on Friday there. The number, I'm curious what your thoughts were. The number that was the most shocking to me, and in addition to that, their odds to come out of that region, and I know they're in Houston's region, Indiana minus 4.5 against Kent State. As a Big Ten guy who was feeling good about Indiana coming into the tournament, as not a Cinderella by any means, they're a 4 seed, but also not in the the 1, 2, 3 seed where everyone's talking about them of going all the way. I thought they might. I was hoping that they might be that kind of under the radar, 4 or 5 seed team that makes a deep run. But not only the 4.5 spread on, I think it's Friday night, seeing them 10, 11, 12 to 1 to come out of the region. And again, I know Houston's in that one, but as I think the third best odds to come out of the region was pretty damn concerning to me for Indiana's case.
No, it was eye-opening again. The hardest part, again, is they've gotten so tricky with their numbers. In other words, way back in the day when a number smelt, there weren't a lot of people saying it smelt, and they took the smelly number and they won.
Yeah.
I like to say the stench of the night. They would win often. Now, those stenches that everyone now jump on, they don't come in as often. So right. I talk about the Jedi mind tricks. And again, that. You just nailed it. It's was it a couple of years ago? Kent State made that miracle run, right? They got to...
That sounds right.
Elite 8?
I don't remember, but that sounds right.
I think Kent State had a magical... I was going to say Final Four. Maybe you could look for me and say, if you Googled Kent State...
Yeah, I'll find it in a second. And on top of them, there's been a couple MAC teams over the years that have gone on a nice deep run. I'll find it here in a second, though. I don't know if it was Final Four, but I do know what you're talking about. Unless it was, no, it might have been. I think you might be thinking of Akron.
I swear they had a magical run one year, and again, I could be totally wrong and
I think
confusing
it was a different MAC team because unless it was a while back, because even the last 20 years they haven't made it past the first round.
Okay, so maybe it was another MAC team, but I think again we talked about Indiana rounding into form. We talked about how good they've been. Again, they played a good game against Maryland. They used a 15-0 run to put Maryland away, and then they were a no-show the next game. And I hope they're not peaking against Kent State because they'll get waxed.
Yeah, right. It was. Let's see. Ohio made it to the Sweet 16 10 years ago. I don't know. There's been a couple MAC teams that haven't made a nice little run there. So, but yeah, it was the number. But then also, like I said, it is in the same region as Houston, as Houston. Houston's about 135, 150. But you look over at Alabama, they're plus 150. Arizona 380, and then the third and fourth teams are 6-1 and 8-9-1, as opposed to Indiana's case and A&M's case being the third team with the third highest odds at 10-1. So that was concerning to me as far as their case, and like I said, they were the team that I kind of believed in the most, and I'm not going to be taking Indiana -4. I still will believe in them personally to go on a nice little run here, but it wouldn't shock me if they faltered there. Let's see. What about a team that didn't get enough respect, and I was kind of in that camp? They had a very good season, so I want to give respect to them. Any interest in Kansas State maybe being on upset watch with Montana State there?
I looked at that bracket, and I'm mad at myself for not bringing it in because I thought the season they had, the teams that they played. Listen, I talked about Xavier in no holy goddamn hell, deserves a 3 seed. And I'm a big East guy. Okay. That was atrocious. That's number one. The other one, I'll get it out on this show too as well. There's no way in hell Arizona State should have made the dance. 3-quarter court shot against Arizona to get no. I would have put Clemson or Rutgers in over Arizona State there, which was a joke. I think Kansas could make a run here. I know there are 3. They were deserving of a 3. I'm a little leery of Kansas State making that run.
Fair enough. And it's tough because you have the Big 12 being really a no night off league where even the worst team, obviously they didn't have every team go to the tournament, but you throw even Oklahoma, Texas Tech into the ACC, they might be good enough to make the tournament, honestly. So from that perspective, I see it. It's a team that I could see losing on day 1 or 2, or like you said, could go to the Final Four, honestly, and that's the case with almost all of these teams. But go ahead.
Yeah, and I've been saying this now for some time, and maybe this will be the cherry on top. Everyone says there's 10, 15, 20 teams that can cut this net down, okay? What I'm going to say this is in the opening weekend, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, there's going to be some upsets, and there might be 1 or 2 shockers. And then the start of the next weekend on Thursday and Friday, there'll probably going to be a couple. But what I'm going to say is Saturday, the Final Four, there's going to be 2 number 1s sitting in front of your eyes. There's probably going to be a number 2 in front of your eyes, and then there'll be a 3, 4, 5, or maybe a 6 there. So when the dust settles, okay, I'm high on UCLA. I'm high on Houston. I've been there all year. I'm worried about the injuries right now on both those squads. I had a huge ticket on UConn. I am scared shitless of not the first round, but the second round against St. Mary's or VCU. More scared against St. Mary's, okay? Then there's the other teams. I haven't wrapped my head around Kansas or Purdue. So put Kansas and Purdue in your Final Fours right now, all right? And then fill in the blanks afterwards.
I still Kansas. You could sell me on Kansas. I'm with you. I'm pulled up my bracket. I've got them losing maybe in this third round, I think, or something like that. Just because I don't think they're going to do it. But you could sell me on Kansas. Purdue, on the other hand, I'm the Big Ten guy, and you're just not going to sell me on Purdue making that type of run. Honestly, I took the strategy. I could very well see them, making it to the second weekend, maybe even the Elite Eight. I had Memphis beating them, but that's just because I think if they get through Memphis, I think they could very well lose the next game after that, which would be, assuming either of those two teams get there, would be either Duke or Tennessee, or obviously an upset. But I think either of those two teams would beat Purdue. So, and then obviously after that, you would have another tough matchup beyond that. What are your thoughts on Kentucky, the late surging Kentucky 6 seed? Got them losing to Providence on day one, or from my perspective, could I see Providence winning? Of course, but I would be shocked to see Kentucky lose on day one 2 years in a row.
It's a perfect matchup for Providence because their last 3 out of their last 4 games, they got blown out of the gyms, but made great runs to try to come back. I don't think offensively Kentucky's that team. They can't throw it in the ocean. They're not Alabama, and I'm not trying to compare Kentucky to Alabama, but they're not. Right. Kentucky is not going to hit 6 out of 7 3-pointers unless they're just having one of those days. So I think Providence. I think it's going to be one of the better games of the opening night. I think deep down Kentucky finds a way. They were rounded into form. They are battle tested. They just can't play with one of those offenses that's going to put up 70, 75, or 80. Put them into a battle royale, which is going to be against Providence. And I think the last 5-6 minutes will tell that game.
I'm with you. It's going to be interesting. And then if they win that, they would, assuming K-State doesn't falter on day one, they would get K-State. So that's another huge matchup there. So, what about this USC team? You and I talked about the Pac-12. Is USC going to be this under the radar Pac-12 team that? Because I'll tell you right now, and I teased it for a while, and I don't believe in this Michigan State team as much as I have the last 15 years of my life. So I've got USC beating Michigan State on day one. Wouldn't surprise me if USC gives, assuming Marquette gets through Vermont, a run for their money as well.
You talk about the NCAA, and I swear to God, they sit there and they look at these. How can we get some other stories involved in here? So you talked about UConn. Well, what do? They put them up against Rick Pitino. Okay. Now you take a Michigan State, and I think they penciled them in on where can we position them best. I talked to a few colleagues today. USC's the better team. It's not even up for debate. USC's the better team. You taking the team or the coach? In other words, the long history, the great run, Izzo's Armies in April and March. I, too, like USC here. But I think the biggest story will be Izzo beating USC and then trying to take down the almighty Shaka Smart and the number 2 Marquette, the Big East champs.
I hear you for sure, and I'm sticking firm with like I told you. I was reading something, and I know I think they're top 50 in efficiency offensively, but someone called them like an offensive juggernaut or something, and I just flat out wholeheartedly disagree with that at its core 100%. So, and especially away from home, I don't see that translating. Could they have one nice game? Absolutely. I just don't think they have that offensive firepower to outpace a team, or if you need a bucket at the end of the game. To get it for more than one game at a time here. So as far as talking about stories that they're trying to set up, the one that I picked in my bracket, and could they, either of these two teams could get upset before this, and Memphis could even get upset by, or you might even call it an upset. I think it's only a 2.5 point spread, but could lose to FAU. But Memphis versus Tennessee in the Sweet 16 is a potential look ahead for as far as one of these stories that they're trying to set up here.
Oh, Julian was all in on Memphis. That was his dark horse. He likes them in the first game, and then he likes them to pick off Purdue. And I'm on the other side saying, well, I think the one team that, don't forget, was high up there for part of this year was the Vols. Now we know what Rick Barnes' pedigree and history is in the tournament, but this is one of those teams where you talk about you don't want to keep poking the bear, and they're flying under the radar like a few other teams. And I think if this team can get their feet wet, win a tough first round game, and then get, 2 days later, find a way, they're sitting in that second weekend, and all of a sudden people are looking and they're in their bracket like, oh shit, how did we manage this one?
Yeah, no, and I'm right there with it. And honestly, what struggle for me was, and I think you and Crack were talking about it, Duke has been playing really, really well, so I assume a lot of people think or are interested in them, and I can't stop you at all. I was really close to advancing Duke deep in that bracket, and at the end of the day, I went with Tennessee as far as we're talking building a bracket there. So, and I'd be lying if I told you I didn't see the potential for the Memphis and Tennessee as my final decider between Tennessee and Duke there. So. As far as on the actual day, if that is the matchup, maybe I'll change my mind with whatever the line is on that given day. But another team, actually, the one potential, I think it would be second round matchup that has really got me excited. But we could obviously see an upset on day one. Creighton and Baylor is a potential second round matchup. Could you see one of those losing before that and botching that altogether? And then the winner would presumably play Arizona. Do you like either of those? I liked Baylor a lot more in mid-January. If we were in mid-January, I probably would have had them going to the Final Four, honestly. But do you like either of those teams now that we're staring at the bracket to advance deep into that bracket, and whether it's play Alabama or somebody else?
100%. I think they're both built. Baylor, senior guide orientated, was really rounded into form, then stumbled their last couple games. But again, that rest, I think, is going to leave them very dangerous. And a Creighton team that I talked about, I think, is built for this 6-game run. Now, can they get knocked out early? Yes, they can. But I definitely have Creighton playing Baylor, and I have the winner of that knocking off Arizona.
I am with you on that one as well. I've got Baylor over Arizona, and then I'm high on Alabama, as I've talked about. So I've got Alabama taking care of business there. But the other one, and just keep going all over the place with these potential ones. How do you? We can even start with the first round matchups because it is a 5-12 and a 4-13. So the chances that one of them gets picked off is not that crazy. San Diego State, Virginia. What are the thoughts with those two teams from your end?
I'm real high on San Diego State. I think they got a potential of not just winning their first 2 games, but making some serious damage in the second weekend. But they can get picked off, as you said, in the first round. Second, I was talking to some people and I was listening to some colleagues. As much as I like Virginia early in the year, look out for this Furman team. I'm just going to say, look out for them.
Yeah, I couldn't, and I've told you, I am just somehow on the wrong end of Virginia in all facets of it, so I ended up putting Virginia through, but it was a tough, I had to really talk myself out of picking Furman because I could see it happen there. San Diego State, though, that's another one that could be potential really trendy with Charleston, obviously, 31-3 or something along those lines, whatever the heck they were. That could be a potential trendy one. And then for me, San Diego State always happens to be this team where another team out west, not the Pac-12, but obviously out west, where you don't talk about them a lot throughout the year, no matter how good they are, and then they show up to the tournament and they're rattling off the first couple of wins before you can blink. So I've got them going to the Sweet 16 to face off with Alabama there.
No, 100%, and that would be a great matchup. San Diego State definitely dogs in that game, but they can play gritty in-your-face defense, and that's where Alabama struggles. It's when teams want to go out and run with Alabama, forget about it. I'm just saying, if this Alabama team puts a 6-game streak together when they're cooking with Crisco and hitting and launching the threes, it's a wrap. They're going to cut the nets down. But they need a San Diego State. They need a UConn. They need a Houston. Someone that will play UCLA, that will get in their face and play defense and to slow them down.
Yeah. No, and San Diego State, as far as Alabama is concerned, is one team that I'm really concerned about there. So it wouldn't surprise me if they're going on a nice long run before you know it. So trying to look out for any of these other potential matchups. Do you like, I guess, Mississippi State Pitt is tonight. Winner of that plays Iowa State. Do you like either of those two teams to take down Iowa State in an 11-6 matchup on Thursday?
Throw away the 11-6 matchup because I think you could just put all three of them in a hat. I think they all match up well against each other. They're not great offensively. They play good defenses. Iowa State will be a short favorite over either one of them. Would I be shocked if whoever won tonight beat Iowa State? I wouldn't, because you see that a lot. The play-in game, everyone says, oh, they're tired. No, they usually bring that momentum with them. I don't have enough faith in the Iowa State side. And the funny thing is, people, again, will have the bias of the Big 12 being the best conference in the country. Therefore, I will lay the 3.5 or 4 or whatever the number is. But I don't have enough faith in Iowa State. But I think they should find a way to get through. But I'm staying far, far away from it.
Yeah. No, and as far as just for, low stakes without any wagers on the actual given day in my bracket, I took the winner of Mississippi State Pitt to take down Iowa State, but I've also been crazy critical of their offense, Iowa State, all season long, and I shouldn't say especially away from their home, because they were still good at points on the road with their defense, because their defense can be fantastic. But I took a swing with Mississippi State taking or Mississippi State or Pitt taking one of those two teams, or one of Iowa State down there. Any before we move on and we can jump back into tonight before we get out of here, got any upset picks? Any big upset picks that you're thinking about, whether you're gambling on it actually or investing on it, I should say, or just a bracket pick, 13, 14 seeds?
Yeah. I got right in front of me here. Let me do this. Hold on one second. I'll pull up. I'm just of our spreadsheet. That was 15. Okie State there. Okay, I'm on the 16th, so I'll use the 16th. I mean, everyone likes Oral Roberts against Duke. I had a 5.5 for the 146. It's now 6.5. UCLA is going to win. I think Duke's going to find a way. They're playing great ball, so I'm going to stay away from there. Princeton, Arizona. Crack talked about Princeton first half there.
Yeah.
Utah State, Missouri, coin flip. Kind of surprising. Utah State. We had an overnight at 2.5, and it's down to 1.5. I think Utah State finds a way.
I've got them as well. Yeah.
I think Arkansas beats Illinois. It's a great matchup. Two great teams. I think, I like the Arkansas build with the coach, with the longer run last year. They're tournament ready, but I think you could win, and you could actually win again the following day.
Yeah, no, that one, I like Musburger and the Must Bus so much, so I was sad to see them faced up against my Illinois squad. But both of those teams, I mean, either of those teams could win by 20, lose by 20, win 3 games in a row, or go out and crash and burn there. So I'm with you. I took a little bit of a homer with my bracket. It's funny, we could see an Illinois UConn matchup, which would be interesting down the road there. So that's what I've got in my bracket, but that's obviously my bracket mostly for fun, with only a little bit wagered on it. But I'll give you, I just because I always have to put a 14 or a 15 seed through on my bracket as far as that is concerned. I took a swing with Montana State over K-State. But like you said, they could win 3-4 games altogether there. I took I don't like Kennesaw State that much, but I took a swing with Kennesaw State over Xavier. That was my other big one.
I mean, looking at Thursday, I tell you what, if you had to move one on, I think if you took Furman and Oral Roberts, I think one of them you'd be on the right side. I do think that. I'm starting to lean more towards Furman. I like what Duke has done. But again, these teams that get hot at this time, like, listen, Marquette. Marquette's been hot, and they win the Big East. Well, I think Creighton and UConn can go further in this tournament than Marquette. Duke with this great run, but who from the ACC can go further? The one key I can say here, Riley, is keep your eyes and ears on social media. When you see everyone on that same public trendy dog, just stop and turn and go on the other side. Pizza and beer money on the other side. But if you're looking for Thursday, I'm going to say Furman takes down Virginia.
I don't hate it at all. Like I said, I'm always on the wrong side of Virginia games, so I'm gonna stay away from it. And there's not as many. I think there's more upset worthy games maybe on Friday, anyways. But and there's plenty of good games as well. So I cannot wait. I'm sure. Obviously, it's Tuesday, so we'll talk about it more as it gets closer. But as going back to tonight, before we wrap it up, NIT, a few games. Let's see, tonight. You can add in anything you want. The one game that was interesting to me that feels a little low, Bradley in Wisconsin, only a 3-point spread. I'm interested in the old Bradley Braves there, my alumni's arch rival there.
Well, you know what I'm going to do here I talked about this, and I'm going to say this to you. The key to the NIT, okay, is who's pissed off they got snubbed and is going to use the next few games to get to Madison Square Garden, the Mecca, and really propel them this year. Unlike North Carolina, who says, no, we're too good. I'm sorry, we can't play in the NIT. We got to focus on next year. You know something? I hope it bites them in the ass. I really do. I know you're the almighty North Carolina, who was in the championship game last year, who didn't make the tournament and is too good for the NIT. Yeah, go pound sand, pal. But you know what? There's so many teams that have used this tournament to propel themselves to the following year. So I'm going to use Wisconsin. I'm going to use Bradley. I'm going to use Villanova. Okay, Villanova, who's in this damn tournament, who could use this as a stepping stone.
Yeah.
You don't think Rutgers is pissed off right now that they're in this? They got snubbed. And I looked at a Seton Hall, Colorado. There's some great teams here. So I know where your eyes are with Bradley. I really do. But I'm going to ask you, the Big Ten guru. Is Wisconsin pissed off and going to use this as a sounding board to win a few games?
It's the reason why I'm not taking any stake on it tonight, honestly, is because of all the teams, and I shouldn't say of all the teams, but Wisconsin is just a program that's not, they're going to put their head down and they're going to show up, right? So that is why it has kept me out of it, honestly, in tonight's case. So I'm with you. And then the other team that I would throw in that ring is one of the one seeds in, a team that was battle tested in the Big 12. Oklahoma State potentially is another team there that just missed it. That's tomorrow, though, so we can get there tomorrow. But is potentially another team that might be pissed off and go on this run here in the NIT this week.
You know, the funny thing, Riley, is a team like Michigan playing Toledo. I could see Michigan just packing up their bags and saying, Coach, we're out, see ya, and not even show up. Or they get on that magical run and win 3, 4, 5 games.
Yeah, I think at some point it is going to happen. I think they are going to be ready to go at some point and then pack it up. Like you said, though, I don't know if it'll be tonight or not. But because they've had that a couple times this year, where you thought they were just going to roll out the ball and hope to win, and then they end up winning by 25. But no, I'm with you. That one could be an interesting one, and then especially Rutgers at home tonight. I'm with you there. And then, Villanova, especially Villanova has been playing a lot better down the stretch as well. So the one that I saw the most public buy-in to was Vanderbilt at home against Yale. I think that one's a little sticky there.
I had a 3.5 for the 148. I currently have La, 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 46 with a 3 and a hook. That is Vanderbilt started. It's funny. I lost the first 2 games of the year on Vanderbilt, and I think I went back 2 others against them, and they won outright. They've had my number. I think the number's low. I really do. Yale had a great year in the Ivy League. Here's an SEC team that was playing a lot better down the stretch. Beat a Kentucky team, beat a few other good teams. Only 3.5. So I think it smells on the Vanderbilt side, and I think Yale might be the correct side here.
No, I'm with you. And then, yeah, I mean, you could have said that a couple times down the stretch, though, and they just kept winning games. So I'm with you. This one was smelling to me, though. So let's see. Switching gears to the NBA with tournament time. I'm not saying I put it to the backseat, but I take the heat off of myself with the NBA a little bit during these next couple of weeks here. But Cleveland and Charlotte, 5.5. I think Cleveland on the road, 5.5. Could be a couple injuries, though. I don't see Donovan Mitchell in the lineup tonight or Jared Allen. So obviously a tougher one to call there, but still seeing 5.5. So I'm not going to try and mess with any injuries, but interested to see them still 5.5 there.
Yeah. You seeing 5.5?
Unless that's an old number, I do. Yeah, I see 5.5.
It's funny because DraftKings has 7.5. Maybe a quick move back. It looks like there's a few 7.5. Yeah, I'm wondering if there's some injury up. You got any injury updates there?
Yeah, I'm seeing. It must have just gone because now I've got DraftKings pulled up and it's 5.5. That must have dropped down though. Donovan Mitchell, it looks like, is out tonight.
Okay, there you go. I think you said it best with the NBA. Let's say it the way it is. The Celtics 13.5, 14-point favorites last night lose outright to the Rockets. And this is a team that's now chasing to try to get the number 1 seed. They had Jaylen Brown score 40+. Tatum goes in for a layup at the buzzer to bring it in overtime and misses it. I'm not speaking. I saw the very end of the game. So we talk about the NBA, and I'm not here to throw water on it. I think there's about 15 games left with the tournament coming in. Pelicans, Brandon Ingram downgraded to out, expected to miss because of ankle as we speak. I think it smells. How's that sound? I say it smells.
Yeah, fair enough. There's only a couple, and then we can move on from it. The other one, and it's kind of similar to that, where I'm not going to lay the 13.5, 14, whatever it is, but it's been a number against it's the Pistons and Wizards. Wizards minus 13.5 for the Pistons had that number against the top teams for a while, and that was when you knew it was to fade the Pistons, and then it was single-digit numbers against the good teams, and it was Pistons. Now it's kind of shifted to these double-digit numbers against the middle-of-the-pack teams have been good numbers for that middle-of-the-pack teams, and the single-digit numbers were your Pistons numbers. So I think it's a Wizards number, but it wouldn't shock me if the Pistons messed around with them tonight and then kept this one close or even won. But I'm staying far away from that one.
And the funny thing is, we had an 11.5 with a 223. Now it's circa 221 with a 13. Public saying Pistons have mailed it in, the tanker for one by Yamba, whatever you want to call it. But again, I couldn't. If you Venmoed me 100 to play either side, I'd Venmo you 200 back. Tell you to take the bride out. I couldn't dive into this with your money.
Right. And the other one that was a little smelly in the same vein as the Pistons, it's kind of different line tonight, and has kind of been a number where it's definitely a who's number. Magic at the Spurs, 5-point spread. This has been a spot where shout out to the Magic, by the way, cashed my over 27.5 win total over the weekend, got to 28, so that was a winner. But now at 28 and 40, they've been the trendy team over the last couple of months. They've come in back down to earth over the last month or since the All-Star break to some degree. But only a 5-point spread against the Spurs, who, like you said, have also they've gotten a couple wins now after the All-Star break. But again, also just as much as the Pistons, all the way in on the Tankapalooza there.
Well, the funny thing is, I thought I smelt one on Sunday as part of our 3-team action parlay. OKC was only laying 2.5, 3.5. We grabbed the Spurs plus the 4 and had them on the money line. It did a DOA. We first game, so it didn't matter. I will go back onto the horse, and I would say the Spurs are the right side tonight, and sprinkle a little beer and pizza money on the money line there, because you got me once on Sunday. And if you're trying to tell me right now Orlando is 1.5 points greater than OKC, who's been our cash cow when we play in the NBA, well, fool me again, because I'm not going to get no banana in the tailpipe today.
No. The Spurs defense every once in a while has been showing up every 2 or 3 games, so this one could be the night. Let's see. The other one, game of the night, I don't have any action on it, but Milwaukee and the Suns in Phoenix. As far as I know, obviously no Kevin Durant after he slipped and twisted his ankle, and now he's out for 3 more weeks or whatever the hell it is. Giannis is in, but I don't see any Chris Middleton tonight. Any interest either way on this one? You got Bucks minus 1.5 on the road with no Kevin Durant here.
I wanted to bring up for a quick second, and I thought this would be the route. I heard late this afternoon before the shows, Donovan Mitchell done for the season. He's going to check himself, or he's going to go into some, I don't want to say rehab, but however they're wording it, maybe you could politically correct me on exactly what the report was.
Let's see. I'm trying to find it right now. As you said, Donovan Mitchell, or do you mean Kevin Durant?
I'm sorry. Oh my God, my brain's fried. No, not the Ja Morant. Holy moly!
Ja Morant. Okay. I don't know if I saw the report, but I mean, last I saw, he's being checked into some type of counseling program. No timetable to return. So I don't know what the expectation is, but that wouldn't shock me at all. You would hope that he's back for the playoffs. He obviously needs some type of guidance, and I think he's at his core. I don't think he's a bad person, but obviously making some pretty ridiculous choices over the last month or two here that we didn't see for the first couple of years in the NBA from him.
I thought I heard regular season. The reason I'm bringing this up is if that's the case, and now you add Kevin Durant, who will probably be back for the playoffs, but once he gets healthy, then Chris Paul will get hurt. So again, if you don't have any shares in the Denver Nuggets, for instance, I'm just saying the wild west really isn't that wild anymore. When you look at the injuries with the Lakers and you look at the injuries now with Dallas, both Luka and Kyrie, it's not the wild west. It's a mess out there. So take the advantage with the Denvers, take the advantage with the healthier teams right now, and then worry about it later, because I don't think Ja will be back. It would be in the best interest long-term for the Grizz to play without him the rest regular season and the playoffs. Get yourself healthy, get yourself physically, mentally, and spiritually ready, and we'll see you back in August.
Yeah, I don't disagree. And then, like I said, he has the chance to be such a huge role model. And obviously, and it seemed like he was on that track and no issues for the first couple of years. He was one of my, he will continue to be one of my favorite players to watch. But like I said, some pretty ridiculous choices, just not even the last couple of weeks, but even the last, all season long, really. So, no, like you said, the West is wide open. You got the Clippers as well there. So, and really the team that I don't believe in a ton, but with the way the West is shaking out, I mean, the Kings, if they're playing well at the right time, who the hell knows?
No, and there's some people with some big preseason tickets on the Kings. God bless you guys. Yeah. I didn't see it coming. And we're talking some monster odds on the Kings. And the way it's shaping up again, I've wanted to back the Clippers. I just, you know what? I gave out the Bucks in August and September to win the East and to win the championship. And if Middleton and Giannis is healthy, I'm going to just stick to that and let everyone else play themselves out because, it's a war of attrition. It's a marathon out there in this NBA and load management. They ought to really think about this, is putting a big prize at the end of the year in the championship. Whoever wins gets a 10% bonus or something, because it's coming to a head where, the old timers, the Charles Barkleys, the Dominique Wilkins, the Magic Johnsons, they're laughing at these kids. They fly on private jets. They have the best trainers. They have no idea what these guys built to get them to where they are, and they can't play every other day. It's just a joke. So you should almost have to play for pay.
Yeah, or a certain amount of games and you get a bonus, or no, just eliminate back-to-backs. I don't know, something, but no, I'm with you, and I'm in favor of cutting the season down 10 games, honestly. But anyways, that is all I've got for today, my friend. Anything else as far as today's action is concerned?
No, there's been so much, and I can't thank you enough. Again, I lean the dog in the playing game, Mississippi State and Pittsburgh. I think A&M and Southeast Missouri will probably get up and over the 158. Again, these are just pizza and beers. Keep an eye on the NIT. Who wants to play? Who's pissed off? And who doesn't want to play? They just want to check out. I think there's some dangerous teams in the Wisconsins, in the Villanovas. I don't know which Rutgers team will show up there. I like the Yale side. I don't trust Michigan as far as I can throw them. I'll give you one hockey total, and then we'll check out of here. Let's see where we can go for the best value tonight. Your Blackhawks team total, 1.5 tonight, over -165. I haven't seen many 1.5s this year. So I thought that was comical. I'm going to go with we will go to Carolina. Team total over 3.5 plus 100. That's the freebie in the NHL.
Sounds good, my man, and I don't have too many other closing thoughts other than what we had some good education and some good chats about this upcoming weekend. So, which I'm sure will continue the rest of the way, and maybe we'll have some, afternoon as the action's rolling along, either Thursday or Friday. So I cannot wait, my friend, and I've got, I'm gonna have my as many screens as I need ready to roll this weekend here.
I think that's a good idea. We'll play Thursday and Friday by ear, and even the weekend. I'll make sure I'm going to be in the office on the weekends, and it's more of an afternoon, evening slate. So we could do some quick 15, 20 minutes. We don't have to go an hour, 10, hour 15. We could have some pop-ins after some games or some last 5 minutes, and we could be talking and watching at the same time.
Sounds beautiful to me, my friend.
All right, so listen, shout out to Bill Krackomberger. He was on about 45 minutes ago. Go follow him at Crackwins. Shout out to Julian Edlow today from DraftKings and at Julian Edlow. Shout out to Andrew McGinnis from McGinnis Picks and Wager Talk. Obviously, a shout out to Riley. Couldn't do it without you, kid. You're an amazing, amazing force in these lanes. Myself and Scotty Webb will be back at 7 o'clock for a little WBC and MLB. I got the call again from Anthony Pepe, 8:45 tonight. I will be on Sports Map Radio and Diehards, and I will be co-hosting Friday from 8 to 10, so make sure you jump on there. So everyone, behave yourselves. Have some fun tonight, and we'll see you back soon.